All right. So basically, this all-in-one loan is from Australia. We kind of copied their way of financing. Brought it over in 2008. Been originating it, and so far since 2008, this loan has never defaulted. It's the principle of it is your checking account and your mortgage all in one. So it's an actual bank. It'd be at the bank of CMG Bank, and normally you'd have your checking and your saving tab. In this account, you'd have your checking and your mortgage tab. And I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of a business sweep account, but businesses would have a sweep account where they'd be having revenue coming into their normal working capital account all day. And then at night, the bank would sweep that money into an interest yield account so that they can earn interest on it. They can move it back during the day and just keep sweeping it back and forth. This is similar to that business sweep account, but instead of sweeping the money to an interest yielding account to earn interest, you're actually going to sweep the money to your mortgage, which is going to minimize interest. And basically, it calculates every night. So the money that you move in and out of the account, you're manipulating your interest every single day. Unlike amortization schedule. If we do like a fixed loan, you apply $5,000 to principal each quarter to pay it off sooner. Well, all that does is move you down the amortization schedule. All of the interest amounts are fixed. You're never really manipulating, you're just skipping things by applying that 5,000. The other big difference is instead of sending that $5,000 off to Wells Fargo Mortgage or whatever bank that's holding your loan, all you do is transfer 5,000 into your mortgage account. You could take it back out tomorrow if you needed it, or you keep growing that account, which minimizes interest. Less interest, more principal. So it's actually turns it on its head. Now we have a principal compounding loan instead of a high interest front loaded amortization loan. So like I said, you can transfer 5,000, and this is a bank account. So you can have your direct deposits coming in. So if you get paid tomorrow and it's $15,000, it hits your account. Your mortgage calculates interest like you just made a $15,000 principal payment today. And then tomorrow, if you use 2,000 of it, it's fine. It'll just calculate that you just took 2,000 of principal. This loan's not for everybody. If they're paycheck to paycheck, if they don't know how to save, if they're not into saving, or if they're not running a high leverage, investment thing, then it's not for them, right? So the main uses for this is obviously it pays off your mortgage faster without making extra payments. Just having the money in the account will manipulate interest and leave more and more in there. So, but also investors who have rentals, they could take and do this to their primary home and go out and use that money to purchase more rentals using DSCRs or whatever they want, and have all of their rental income going into the one account. And then that's going to pay that account back up to knock down the interest, and you get to keep buying more properties. So in a sense, your portfolio builds your portfolio. Looks like I got someone coming in. Other way is, again, you could use it for flipping. Let's say you have 800,000 available to pull out in your house. So we pull out that 800,000, we put it in the bank account. So you're not paying interest on that until you start using it. But if you're doing flips, you can take and wire $400,000 on the purchase. You have money to put into it for repairs, renovations, and then when it sells, the money goes back in there and it stops interest again. Versus going to a hard money lender, paying 2 points, paying 8 or 9, or even I heard 11% today interest over that whole period. You're cutting out $10,000 right there easily. We talked about this morning, and really, like I said, it makes sense to someone who has at least 2,500 left over each month, and they just leave it in the account, and their mortgage is paid off in 7 or 8 years, right? But the other caveat is, if they're going to invest, there's got to be a plan. It's like, hey, I'm going to do this loan and, stick $500,000 in the bank because I'm going to buy 3 condos with a DSCR setup and do $100,000 on each one. If it's just going to sit in the bank, there's no use doing it. There's no use just pulling money out. There's got to be some sort of plan, some way to leverage it. But let me run through a couple scenarios just to kind of show you the calculations. And then someone came in late. We'll circle back after we run a couple scenarios. So I'm going to do a purchase one first. So this would be if you're going out and purchasing an investment property. You can purchase primary property too with the same loan. But let's just say let's do a purchase on the primary. We're going to compare it to just a normal loan. On a primary, you only need 10% down. So if we do like a $600,000 home, oh, you know what? I had problems with this thing blocking. And then we're going to do 500,000 down. Okay, I would recommend just doing the 10% down because you created a $500,000, or no, that's 540. You created a larger credit line, basically, liquid. 30 years. Let's compare it to a 6.5. All right. So for this scenario, let's say you guys make $12,000 a month in income after taxes. We're going to make that a monthly deposit. And then taxes and insurance on that property are probably going to run you about, let's say, $400. And as far as leftovers, the mortgage is already built into the simulation. So we're going to say their monthly expenses beyond, let's just say 4,000. So they got car payments, credit card payments, utilities, fun, food, whatever. So $4,000 more than their actual mortgage expense. That leaves them $4,200 left over a month. And that's just going to stay in the account. The goal, really. Calculate the results. Their home is paid off in 8.3 years. They didn't make any extra payment. All they did was leave the money in the bank and it just swept it to mortgage each night. They always had access to money. In fact, at 8.3 years, your account will have $540,000 in it. So when we look at this pay down summary, your effective interest rate, your effective APR is only 2.2. You're never going to see a 2.2 on an APR again versus the 6.5 fixed. So let me show you this pay down table. So this all starts making sense here. So this pay down table is based on you having $4,200 left over each month and just left it in the account. And this is how much is available after each given month. So if we look in month 26, there's $104,000 in there. Now we're going to start playing around here. Let's say we did a future one-time expense of $100,000. Reason I say that is, let's say we're going to buy a $350,000 condo. We're going to do a DSCR loan, so it's easy. You don't have to show income or anything like that. You just need a down payment and a rent ratio. Our rent ratio will be great at a $350,000 property, $100,000 down. So we're going to do that on month 27. We're buying one property. So now our payoff time is 10.2 years. 10.2 years, we'll have that $540,000 in the account. Now, the longer we go, the higher the APR is going to keep going, right? So let's do one more property here. Say we do another $100,000. Too many. So we're at 12.1 years total. We have 540,000 in the account, and we have 2 properties, 2 rentals. We probably would have bought another 2 during that 12-year period. Pay down summary, still only a 3.6 effective APR. The thing is the amount of equity sitting in people's houses right now. Everybody's so enamored with the 2.5 or 3.5% rate they have on it. They lock up that equity and it's not working for them. This mortgage, the rate right now is 8.3. Nobody's going to sign up for an 8.3, but you can see the way it works and the way it manipulates interest. Your effective APR is going to be in the 2s and 3s. You can't get an investment loan for that. And the access to the capital, right? So you get a call from your agent, Joel, says, hey, I was just showing this home to an investor. It pencils out. I don't know why he passed on it. You want to come look at this? Yeah, you go look at it. Boom, under contract, wire the 100,000. You're closed in 2 or 3 weeks. Put a renter in there. We didn't account for extra rental income as you're building these out. We also didn't account for the interest rate going down over the next 5 or 6 years. Because unlike mortgage rates, when they cut the Fed fund rate, it's going to affect that so far more directly, the indexes, than it is the mortgage-backed securities. So as they cut and as that average so far index keeps dropping, your rate keeps dropping on top of what you're doing to the interest by putting money in there. Okay. Before I do the refinance one, let's just see what a large deposit. Let's say that $12,000 monthly turns in, and maybe you have a bonus, corporate bonus. Actually, let's do it on a repeat deposit.
So while you're doing that, so the let's say you acquire a property, right, and you have some tenants in there. You have your deposits from this rental property going into this account. You know that also helps with the interest, how it's manipulating your you know your interest rate, right? So if you have your business deposits going in there, things like that, it just increases your balance, and it helps manipulate the interest rate on your mortgage.
Yeah. So all I did was I put like a $10,000 annual bonus in there, and it knocked a year off the entire loan. And again, like I said, you need a plan. You're never really going to, if we spend the next 10 years, you're probably going to keep buying properties, right? You might get more aggressive. You might find a project where you can go in at 50,000, right? It all depends on the deals. Let's do a refinance so he can show you how that one goes. So we're going to do a primary. So the difference between the primary and the investment in second homes, primary, when purchasing, you can buy with 10% down. There's no mortgage insurance. And the investments in second homes, you can, when we cash out, you're only getting 70% of the value. The primary, you can pull out 80% like a normal loan. All right, so let's do 480. Next. All right. So let's say your home's worth 600. You owe let's say you owe $200,000 on the mortgage. We can pull out 480. So we're going to pay off that 200,000, and then you're going to put the other 280 back in the bank, and that's going to help stop the interest, because you're not going to pay interest on the 280 if you're not using it. You're only paying interest on the 200,000. So in this scenario, we're going to do a one-time deposit of that money going right back in the bank. Let me get rid of those repeat deposits. All right. Next. All right, so 3.9 years. If you had a $200,000 loan and we did a cash out for 480, paid off the 200, put the 280 right back in there. Let me show you the table so you see what happened. So at month 2, you already had 283,000 available. So at this point, you literally could go around and start buying properties. You could probably buy 3 of them in the first 2 years, right? And now instead of just getting your $14,000 or $12,000 in income, now all of a sudden you're getting an extra, you're over 15, 16 net. All right. But again, we go through that same process. Return to the results. We see the pay down summary, 0.521 APR. Even if you're sitting on a 2.5% rate on your $200,000, the remainder of your mortgage, you can do 0.5, you can get that thing knocked down to 0.521. It all comes down to your individual scenario, what income you have coming in. And if you have money in the stock market, great. Now it comes down to what are your main goals? Do you want to get more real estate heavy? Do you want to keep a certain flow going into stocks? Then we decide how much money we're going to leave in the account to help build that portfolio out. So there's no either or. You want to diversify. You want to have money in both places, but which one do you want to build out faster, bigger, more leverage? So it comes down to that. So each of you will have a different direction and idea, and especially when it comes to your main goal. How, do you just want to pay off the mortgage faster? Do you want to just be ready for investments? You're not sure yet. So there's all kinds of different ways to go about this. But if you are already investing or you're really good with money, you need this loan. Otherwise, even like I said, if you got a 2.5 rate on a $200,000 loan and you're going to sign up for my 8.3 cash out refinance, it doesn't make a lot of sense until you actually see the simulation and the numbers, how it works. Now, yeah, I'm going to sign up for that 8.3 all day because it's going to knock my 2.5 fixed rate down to 0.5, and I'm going to get to leverage a bunch of money, because if that money's sitting there, it's not doing anything. Currently, there is just as much equity in all the homes in the country, just as much equity as what is traded on the stock floor every day. So there's that much equity in all the houses. If it's sitting there, great. It might be saving you a payment, but it sure isn't earning you money, because you could actually leverage that and turn that into investment properties. If you had $300,000 sitting there and you just don't want to take it out because you like your payment, 2.5 rate, you're good with it. Think about if that $300,000 was able to buy you $350,000 homes, condos. Now you have over $1 million in real estate appreciating with your home. So just the appreciation in $1 million of real estate is 40 grand historically. If we go to low ball, that's like a half of a good income each year. So you can be earning that $40,000 in appreciation, plus you'll probably net money on the rent. But even if you break even, you're appreciating it at that level. So, I mean, that's $40,000 a year or more that you're earning. Instead of saving, what would that $300,000 cost you each month? Another $2,100. That's $24,000 a year it's saving you in payments. when it could be earning you a minimum of 40,000 a year just in appreciation. But again, everybody has different goals. Some might not have the appetite for mass investment or even 3 investment properties. Maybe they just want 1 or 2. Maybe they want to buy something in Costa Rica, pay cash. You can use the money for anything. You don't have to use it on a home in America. You can use it on land. You can use it to, I know I got a guy that's building tiny homes. So he refinances his house to where he can go buy parcels so he can start setting up tiny homes. There's all kinds of ways. So questions. I know a couple of you guys got on there a little late.
You said that this program's been going on for years. How come this is the first time? Oh, maybe I'm hearing it, but
nobody talks about it. And it's so far outside the box because everybody thinks amortized loan here. There's only a couple loans, HELOC or first mortgage. People don't know about the other. I mean, some businesses with the sweep, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it's been being used since 2008. And we just finally, the 2 branches we had up in Michigan hit their max about 6 months ago. So they went out and bought a chain along the East Coast so that they can open it up to other brokers because we're the only ones with it. So we originate it, we service it, and we service it through the banks. And we're winning on both sides because this loan incentivizes people to deposit money and put money in the bank. The ability for a bank to lend is calculated on the deposits coming in. So it's genius. So we're incentivizing people to deposit money so that our banks can create even more programs and lend more money. And they'll lend money.
So let's say that your monthly income coming in is 12,000, like just for shits and giggles, because you were using those numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 12,000. Okay, let's say 2 years down the road, I don't know, something happens. Now your yearly income's only 50,000.
Oh, dude, I love that you brought that up. Okay. Remember, did I tell you that this loan has never defaulted?
You did say that, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason is because you never make a mortgage payment, right? All it's doing is calculating the interest each night, and it pulls it on the 21st of the following month. You never physically make a payment. So if you did lose a income in the household, it got cut in half, and you're just gonna be off for a few months till you got it figured out and got back to work. Well, you don't need to make that mortgage payment because it's just pulling interest out. There's already been money in there. So instead of, if you had your normal mortgage, you'd have to figure out how to get that payment to the bank. Physically make that mortgage payment. This one you don't. That's why it doesn't default. You go like, let me pull this one up again here. Let's go look at the pay down table. Anything happens, I mean, shoot. If you did do that whole $280,000 in cash left over, you're in great shape. You might say, okay, I want to keep 200,000 in there at all times, but we're going to crank out the rest as fast as we get it and buy properties. Or maybe you want 100 or 150, doesn't matter. But if you have $100,000 in there, that's going to get you about 12 months in expenses, interest coming out of the house. So it gives you time to get back on your feet or even sell it if that's a plan. In fact, you could take the $200,000 that's in there, put it down on a house and buy it before you sell that one and make the move. So it just gives you way more leverage.
So I'm a little confused with when you said it acts like an account, like a checking account.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say your income's coming in there, and you say, okay, all expenses come out, right? Car payments, whatever, fun, food, bills. Okay, you said we have $4,000 left over. So that means that it will suck those $4,000. So technically, it's like if you're running on zero all the time.
Yeah.
Unless you really need that money.
Now, each night, like let's say you got paid and $6,000 went in today. Mm-hmm. It would sweep it over. But you'll have debit cards, you'll be able to do bill pay, ACH, checks, wires, anything. You could, your mortgage payment, or not mortgage payment, but your car payment could come out of there the next day. Even though it swept all that money into the mortgage, it comes right out. It's almost like a big overdraft. So
Okay.
your bank account will just act as a ledger. It'll show you when money comes in and what's going out and to where. But there's never any money actually sitting in that checking account part of it. It's always swept to the mortgage to minimize the interest.
Okay, so as long as you're constantly taking in and out, your interest rate's constantly going in, up and down.
Yes. Yep. And if you're saving at least that $4,000 a month, it's going to keep compounding that principal. And even if it was 2,000, I mean, let's go back here, deposits. Let's say they just had a lot more spending. Let's go 2,500.
I'll be here, okay.
7
be-
years.
I'll watch it.
And this is the refi situation where we just took out, where you had your $200,000 2.5 rate. We paid that off, put our 8.3 on there, and put $280,000 in the account. And in 7 years, you had $480,000. Pay down summary, your effective APR is still under 1%. Still killed that 2.5 rate. Now it's $2,500 left over. So anybody who's paycheck to paycheck, not a good idea. Anybody who might save a couple thousand a month, might spend $4,000 one month, it's not a good idea. Anybody who knows how to leverage money and has a plan for that money. Like I said, it doesn't do any good. I mean, yes, it'll pay it off faster. Yes, you'll get your 0.881 APR, but then it's just going to sit in the bank. I mean, yes, you can do it that way and save a bunch of money. Cool. But even better to leverage it into several properties. Once you get past 4 or 5 properties, the rent from those properties are building your portfolio, and you never have to put money in that account again. And you just wait until you hit a certain point when you need to buy another one.
So what happens with the equity that you have built now?
It's in the bank, right? So if you, let's say 80% were able to pull out, like let's keep using that same analogy. You owe 200,000 on the mortgage. We can pull 480. So your mortgage gets paid off. We put $280,000 in the bank account. So if down the road, your home's worth a lot more, we might do a refinance to bring your availability up. If you have a reason to build your availability up. If you're doing some small stuff and it's great, maybe you want to start flipping, like, you know what, 400,000 isn't enough. Let's refi it to 600,000. That's a good reason to do a refi and get your limit up, because now you have enough to pay cash for a property, renovate it, put it on the market, and you don't have to worry about not getting paid rent because you have money in there paying the mortgage. So your carrying costs are not only low, but they're sustainable, right? Like there's no, the carrying costs you have, utilities, stuff like that, but at least you didn't pay 2 points for a hard money at 11%. That answer your question?
Yeah, it's just a lot to think about.
It is.
Just
And
because,
I would
especially,
say,
never heard of it. So
if you're really interested in doing this from this point, let's do a one-on-one where we can actually go through your exact scenario and what you'd like to do.
that website you're using, are we able to get access to that so I can go in and read on that? And
oh yeah,
yeah.
I'll send a
Yeah.
link to Joel and he can get it to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So
okay, and then you said that Australia uses this model. So how's Australia's housing market?
that's all they've ever done. They've never. So the amortized thing came about in the Great Depression. because nobody could afford a house. So they went to the banks and said, we need to do this. Here's our idea. And the bank's like, well, we need to get paid. I'm like, okay, we'll push most of your interest up front. Nobody else does that, or that's not their, go-to loan. We did that here. I mean, like I said, if you're not paycheck to paycheck, you're killing yourself being in a fixed mortgage if you got leverage. And you asked why you haven't heard about it, because there's not very many people running with it. Even LOs, it's hard for most of the LOs that are of our company to grasp this loan and understand it and show the value in it. I mean, I've done loans from $120,000 on a tiny little investment property all the way to $3.5 million cash out refi because he wanted to start building his own specs. So there's so many different uses for this. And like I said, even on the purchase side, 10% down, no mortgage insurance. It's great. And you can go all the way up to
When you
3,
think
4
about
million.
when you think about the amount of you said that the number of homes that defaulted or mortgages that defaulted are
Oh yeah.
minimal. So that's something to pay attention to. I mean, that's the proof that this it works, right? If and I think that what I like the most about this is, you know, one, that you could pay off your mortgage a lot quicker than if you were to do an amortized loan, right? And you have accessible cash that you can use to to purchase more property, and you're only paying interest on the funds that you use, right? So let's say you purchase a rental property and you have a tenant in there, and then there's rental income coming in, right? So that number, it becomes easier to manage, right? What you pay in interest and towards that
Yeah.
particular property.
Yeah,
So
we didn't even jump into the effect the rates dropping will have, the effect getting more rental income will have. This is like absolute worst case scenario based on a standard budget. Everything's rigid. So your savings would be a lot better even. And this is the ultimate construction loan too. At work, you're saved tens of thousands of dollars in interest on this loan versus a standard construction loan, just the way it's set up. So
Yeah,
Hey,
definitely. I'm a
go ahead.
researcher. So I definitely gotta like look into it.
Yeah.
Maybe talk to a few more people.
Yep.
Joel knows me. We're personal friends, and he knows
Yeah.
I ask a million questions. So
Yeah, there's some YouTube stuff up out there, but not a mass of people pumping this out there. There's a handful of guys that do a ton of these, and then there's people that are afraid to even talk about them.
so how do you and this may be kind of personal, but how do you guys benefit out of this?
I love that question because that's what my guy in Utah that did the $3 million one. He's like, what do we do? I mean, this is the last loan I ever need. And it's like, well, you're going to love it so much. You're going to tell your neighbors and your builder buddies, and we're going to go do loans on theirs. It's like, I don't have to have several loans from you. It's relationships, and they build that out. The company benefits because the amount of deposits coming in those banks, because now they can create these local loans for, say, if it's in the Boston area, they can go into a low income community and say, hey, we have zero down, zero mortgage insurance, first time home buyers, and create a program to lend out and lend more money and make more money that way too. So the company wins huge by doing it.
Well, the benefit that I get, Gene, is that I get to help you build your portfolio. I get to, now you have accessible funds to to go out and buy some investment properties, and I can help you on that side of it, of that side of things. So one of the reasons why I wanted to get you guys on this call is because you guys know me, you work personally with me, right? I like to be a resource. When I heard about this, I felt that you guys, I handpicked everyone on this call that I thought would benefit from hearing what this program has to offer. Now, do your research. We can connect you one-on-one with John, and like he said, we can make it more personable, like based on your personal situation. But that's why I wanted to get you guys on here, just to know that it exists, and that it could personally, it could potentially just benefit you based on your situation. And your goals.
There's a guy who does them in Arizona, and he rebranded it. Still the all-in-one loan. He rebranded it as the Life Changer loan, and that's all he does. That's the only loan he does, and all of his stuff is branded Life Changer and this and that. So it's one of the small brokers that we broker out to.
Okay.
So I'll send.
If you can send send everything to Joel, and then let me look over it, and then I'll talk to Joel, and then see if it's something that is going to benefit me. I also don't want to waste your time if it's not.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll send them a link to the main page where you'll be able to get information and play with the simulator. And then I'll also send a YouTube link. I've done a few short scenario videos for different types of scenarios, so you can see those. So
yeah.
Okay.
Alex and Marcella, I know you guys, you joined late, you had some connection issues, but the good news is that John recorded this call. So that way, you guys can see the recording from when the videos, when the meeting started. And then of course, you'll get the other links too that John is going to send. So that way you can know more about the product.
all right.
I think they're muted.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
All right. We'll circle back.
Appreciate it, John. Thank you. Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, of
We'll talk
course.
to
You
you
guys,
guys soon.
are welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you need my email,
Thanks,
Joel, or do you want to send it to me? You want to text me my email?
I have your email.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, Joel.
Okay.